Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Rustabout Collector here, and just like that, another year has gone by. Hopefully it was a good one for all of you, but in this video today, I'm just taking a look at my personal top 10 favorite new toy releases from 2024. Now, the small caveat is that it's a figure that had to be roughly released within 2024, purchased by me, and high enough quality to make this list. This was a tough year to fill out a full top 10 list because I didn't buy a lot of new figures from that year. This year I went back and bought a lot of older figures from previous years, from different lines, ones that aren't even made anymore. And so that also means there's going to be a top 10 toy pickup video coming very soon. I'm filming that one immediately after this one, so you can expect that within the next week or so. Even though I may not have bought a bunch of figures this year, there still are some excellent ones on this list, so let's get into it. This one here is not on the list. This is the World of Halo Jerome figure that was released this year. Excellent figure from the Jazzwares Vault website. I love it, but it's just not quite on the top 10. However, you can expect a video on Halo toys being back in 2024 and 2025. That will also be coming out here soon, where I just talk about the state of the Halo line and the really awesome figures that have been coming out recently. But anyways, let's get this guy out of here. Now this list will go pretty well in order, so at number 10, I have the G.I. Joe Classified Recondo. Now, I'm pretty sure, I have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I had Recondo on last year's list, but this one is the Recondo that I would have wanted to be on last year's list. Recondo has basically been my favorite Joe since I was a kid, and it's specifically this look with the khaki uniform and the brown straps and everything, the camouflage pants. This is my definitive Recondo. I even have this really awesome example of the original one. Not the one that I had as a kid, because I played with that until it basically fell to pieces. But this one here is exactly the look that I want for Recondo. So having this classified version just satisfies me so much. It's so cool to have these two on the shelf next to each other. The original classic 80s version with this newly updated classified figure. Now at number 9, we have our first and certainly not our last instance of a Jazzwares Halo figure on this top 10 list. This here is the Halo 2 Master Chief from the Big Heroes Battle Pack, I believe. It was released on the Jazzwares Vault site for a really good price, honestly, and it's actually had some sales since it first dropped. Now, technically, this figure came out a couple years ago, but it was exclusive to Canada for whatever reason. So I never saw it. Most of the collectors in the US never saw it. And so this was finally released on the US market last year in 2024, and technically, it's a 2024 release, certainly a new release for the United States. This is my second favorite Master Chief we have gotten from the Jazzwares World of Halo line. It is so iconic. They nailed the proportions, they nailed the weathering, and just everything about it is so good. Even down to the chrome on the visor. This is just such an iconic look for the Master Chief, and it's such a good figure. The posability is there. They really mastered the articulation on this figure to where he can get into some really dynamic poses without the armor getting in the way and, kind of messing with all of that. So I'm very happy to have this figure, and I love having the Halo 2 Master Chief to round out every Master Chief ever. At number 8, we have a bit of a controversial figure for a couple reasons, and that is the Black Series Bad Batch Season 2 Hunter figure. Now, I picked this up in like February of 2024, and I don't remember if this was a late 2023 release or if it was a 2024 release. So I apologize if this is a 2023 figure. It is a 2024 figure for me, and I love this look for Hunter. I know the Bad Batch has mixed reviews, but personally I loved the show. I wish it went on for at least 2 more seasons. It was just so good to see the clones back in action, and Hunter being one of the best characters on that show, besides Crosshair, of course. But anyways, this figure updates a lot of the things we saw from the first version of the figure, including a much improved face print on the head, and just these colors and the weathering. All of it comes together so perfectly for this figure, and yeah, I love it. I love the Bad Batch. I love having the team like fully decked out on my shelf, and this one is certainly my favorite of those Season 2 designs. So I have Wrecker and Echo and obviously Hunter, but I'm pretty sure I never found Tech on shelves, so that might be a hunt for 2025 to track down the last member of Season 2 Bad Batch. For number 7, we're still on a controversial kick because it is the AliExpress Vintage Collection Bootleg Clone Trooper. Specifically here, the Wolfpack Clone Trooper, but I've personally just loved almost every single one that I have bought from them. This one right now is kind of sitting at my favorite. Just getting army builder clones in various legions, basically give me any legion under the sun as a clone trooper and I'll buy it. Especially now that they have the ARF troopers, the regular troopers, some specialty units. It's so awesome what the bootleg companies are doing this year, and I am here for it. I hope they keep cranking out these armor designs. Yeah, it's so cool. So this one is on the list. All of them technically would be on the list, but this is the one that I've decided to use as the poster child. Please keep making them, AliExpress. Whoever's in charge of that over there, keep making them. I'll keep buying them. The 3 3/4 inch clone community will definitely appreciate it. And my only request is that you please make 13th Iron Battalion and Camino Security, because those are my 2 favorite legions right now. And I would just absolutely love to see them on this new vintage collection body. While technically this figure does share a similar body mold to another figure on this list, I think it's unique enough because 1, a different company is technically manufacturing it, 2, the deco is different, and 3, it does have janky hands that we're not going to see on the other one. And I guess 4, this is also the Andor mold of the Clone Trooper. But anyways, yeah, this deserves a spot on this list. The bootleg companies are really truly keeping the fandom alive for clone collecting, and I wish Hasbro would really pick up the slack in that area. For number 6, we return to the world of Halo with the Arbiter from the World of Halo 2-pack, also from Jazzwares Vault, Ripa Mori, or Morami, I can never remember his name exactly, just Ripa, or the Arbiter. But yeah, this is the Arbiter from Halo Wars. This figure was also released exclusively in Canada, and then they gave us a upgraded deco version for the Jazzwares Vault, and my goodness, is this a beautiful figure. The deco is amazing, with all of the undersuit detailing being in a really nice metallic paint. All of the shiny armor just looks so good, and my goodness, this is the most impressive World of Halo Elite that we have gotten. And it's just so awesome to have characters like this represented in the World of Halo line. We have such a diverse cast of characters from all the different games in the line, and I hope that continues, because this is not a figure that I would have expected to get in World of Halo, and obviously other figures of this character are extremely expensive, so having this in the collection, fitting in with all my other Halo figures, is just such a treat. We have to stay in Halo land for just a little bit longer, as number 5 is the World of Halo ODST, also from the Jazzwares Vault release. However, this one is not technically a figure that was released previously in Canada. This is a repaint of the one that was released in Canada, given some new deco with the red shoulder pads and some improved weathering. This is the most impressive ODST figure I think we've gotten from Jazzwares, and I absolutely love this thing. The ODSTs are just one of my favorite characters in all of Halo. And when you have a line like World of Halo where everything is very reasonably priced, and you get all sorts of aliens and human characters and Spartans and brutes and all of that, getting ODSTs where I can army build them and have a whole squad, it's just so incredible. I'm so glad they made this figure. The upgraded deco looks incredible, and I believe this is still in stock on the website over at Jazzwares Vault. So this isn't an advertisement or anything, but if you're a fan of ODSTs and Halo, this is probably like the one purchase that I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, just pick up this for sure. If you get nothing else, get the ODST. It's one of my favorite World of Halo figures of all time. Now this next one, the number 4 spot, you might think, of course, it's the Black Series 187th Clone Trooper. What an obscure figure for Hasbro to make, and what an iconic Clone Trooper to have in the collection now. It's certainly one of my favorite designs that they ever released. However, yeah, this isn't the 187th Clone Trooper that is number 4 on this spot. It's this one. Disney Parks releasing a 12-inch 187th Clone Trooper talking action figure in 2024 was certainly not on any of our bingo cards, but I'm not going to complain that it happened. I absolutely love this figure, especially for what it is. It is so highly detailed and accurate to Revenge of the Sith, minus the Clone Wars pauldron. I just absolutely am blown away by it. The weathering is great, the deco is great, the voice lines are iconic. And it's just so cool. And we already have a second one of these on the way. We have the Commander Gree, which I am currently trying to track down. If anybody has a hookup with the Disney Parks or overseas shipping that can get me the Commander Gree from the shopdisney.com website, I would be so grateful. I love this figure. I love the sculpt work. I love the paint deco, and I love the 187th. It's such a unique and weird design to come out of that early days of Clone Wars and Clone Trooper designs where it was kind of the Wild West, and we got a purple shock trooper to just be Mace Windu's personal legion. So yeah, not only is this a very unexpected figure, it's also a very well done figure, and that is why it's so high on this list for me. As a fan of clones, and especially very obscure clones, this one just hits all the right checkboxes for me. Now before we tackle the top 3, I just want to hit some honorable mentions really fast here. First up, we have the Vintage Collection Jump Trooper from Jedi Survivor. This figure is mostly just reuse of the Stormtrooper mold, but man is it cool with the armor, the upgraded helmet, and the backpack. I love this design. I personally think it's awesome. I picked up 2 of these just to add to the Imperial Army. It is really good, but it's just not quite top 10 good. Additionally, in the world of G.I. Joe, I picked up this Night Creeper. This figure is absolutely incredible for the price. Came with a bunch of weapons, 2 different heads, and the coloration is so good. Purples and reds are such a cool design for the character with the bright red visor popping through. I love this character. I had it as a kid in the old 80s style, so having this one in now the 6-inch classified line was also very iconic. But again, just not quite that top 10 goodness. And finally, in the world of Halo again, we have this Spartan Kelly figure. Absolutely love it. It is our first, I believe, female Spartan in all of the World of Halo lines. So that's kind of a cool little side note. But yeah, I really do love this figure, and it puts us 1 Spartan away from completing the World of Halo Blue team. So I'm hoping that they can reuse this body and just wrap up the whole team. Give us Linda, and we'll be set. And now for the top 3. I want to preface this by saying the top 2 are not in the top 2 purely because of cost and like detail. They are there for very specific reasons. I just want to clarify that because it's going to feel like, well, obviously those are your top 2 because you spent the most money on them. That's not entirely true. I spent a lot of time thinking about which ones were my favorite throughout the year, and so the top 2 may seem like kind of a cop-out, but I guarantee you they're not in my personal ranking. But this is also a very arbitrary list, so if you disagree with anything on this list, if you have a different top 10 for the year, that's totally fine. In fact, I would love to hear about that in the comments because I always like to hear, you know, what did I miss? Like, what were figures that maybe I should have picked up this year or should have had on this list that people think just outrank some of these here? But anyways, for number 3, it is the Vintage Collection Clone Trooper Battle Pack. Now again, I did say this kind of shares a mold with the bootleg back here because it does. It is a very similar body mold. Actually, it's the same body mold, different hand mold, and now a new helmet mold. But when they released this Army Builder pack after the kind of wonky, weird helmets of the Andor clone, I was stoked. I've bought so many of these to army build the 501st and to have some blank clones to do some customs on. I was already a massive fan of this Andor clone body mold, but when they updated the helmet to this more proper scaled helmet with a better visor and just better details overall, I just could not say no. This is the perfect clone trooper, and even though it shares a lot with maybe even my last year's top 10, I'm pretty sure I had the Andor clone on last year's top 10 as well, so it does share some similarities to previous top 10s. Maybe it's a little bit of a cop-out, but this figure truly has had such an impact on this year. Like, I've just been messing with it any chance I get, posing it around on my desk and things like that. It had to be in the top 10, and honestly, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this has to be top 3. And there may be more controversy yet as we get into the number 2 position, but I have to give it to the Obi-Wan Kenobi Hot Toys 501st Clone Trooper. Now, I'll be the first to admit, when they announced this figure, I wasn't really that hyped for it. It really was just like, okay, we're getting another 501st clone. I already have the original release, the deluxe release. Why would I need another one? And this one with like armor gaps and like details from the show, from the live action armor actually replicated on the armor here. I was just kind of skeptical, and then I saw pictures of them, and I was talking with some friends about the details on this armor and how Revenge of the Sith accurate some of these features were, and just how cool it was that this is an accurate representation of the first live-action clone trooper armor we've ever had in Star Wars. All of that combined together to make me pick up not just one of these, but 4 of them. I had initially picked up just 2, and then as I got them in hand, I realized I think I need a squad of these guys, and lo and behold, I now have a squad of them. It may not pick up super well on camera, but this has such a good light blue color for the 501st, something that we definitely missed out on the other release of the 501st. They went more with a Clone Wars dark blue. This goes with a much more Revenge of the Sith light blue. The armor is also extremely glossy, which might be a little bit too glossy for Revenge of the Sith, but it has such a nice effect for these guys. And even with it being glossy, you can see there's still weathering. Again, it's a little bit lighter than the Revenge of the Sith weathering ought to be, but it is a very, very good looking clone trooper. The only thing that I did change with this figure is I swapped out his weird live action DC-15 carbine for a standard style one that came with the other clones. The one that they made for the show is very odd. It's just very odd looking. They changed the design a little bit, and it's a little bit of a mystery as to why they did that to me, but yeah, you swap out the DC-15 and you have this absolutely incredible looking 501st Clone Trooper in a very Revenge of the Sith accurate looking armor setup. It's so good. I really do not regret this one bit, and it absolutely deserves its spot at number 2. So as I said about these top 2 figures, they are more expensive, so they have higher quality and just more details and all of that. That is not the reason that they made it to top 2 though. It truly is a measure of how much I enjoyed adding these to the collection. And so yes, these down here are all much more true toys, and this is much more of a high-end collectible, but it is about enjoyment, and I did really think long and hard about where these all would stack up. So for the number 1 spot, controversial as it is, controversial as it was in my own review where I was very skeptical of this figure, you guys already know what it has to be. You just do. It's Hot Toys Scorch. It's Hot Toys Scorch. I cannot stop messing with this figure, posing it, turning on the visor, trying to recreate the poses from the cover art of the game, all of those things with this figure. I know it's not accurate. In my brain, I know logically I should hate this figure because it's Clone Wars animated mixed with realistic. I talked about it in my review, and it still does annoy me. But then when I just take a step back and I have it in my hand, I'm posing it around, all I can see is my second favorite Republic Commando come to life in my hand. The very first Republic Commando figure I ever owned was the single release of Scorch in the 3 3/4 inch line. Like, this is so iconic to me for so many reasons. It's in the number 1 spot. I can't not give it to this figure. Much as I have issues with some of the details, I look at it and I just go, wow. That's Republic Commando Scorch to me, and it just fulfills that thing in me, that childhood want for a highly detailed figure of Scorch. This is it. I know it's not perfect. I cannot wait to hear from my friends in the comments saying, how dare you put him at number 1, unsubscribing. Oh no, you know, again, this is a very subjective list. I would love to hear from you all in the comments what your top 10 figures for 2024 are. These are mine. Right here. These are mine. And it's a very weirdly diverse cast of characters for 2024. We've got bootlegs, we've got Halo and G.I. Joe and Black Series and 3 3/4 inch and Hot Toys. And oddly enough, in a very obscure Clone Trooper Legion coming out of left field, which I'm not mad about. It's a really weird year, but it's also a really great year. These are some incredible releases from various incredible companies, and I cannot wait to see what we get in 2025. Anyways, that's where I need to wrap this video up, so I hope you enjoyed this top 10 list. Let me know again down in the comments, what were your top 10 for 2024? Be on the lookout for the top 10 pickups of 2024 coming out soon. That one will be a very unique list, I think, and yeah. I'm happy to have another video up on the channel. Thank you all for all your support, liking, commenting, subscribing, coming back for more. It means the world to me, and I appreciate you all so much. So as always, have a wonderful evening, noon, or night, depending on when you're watching this video. And as always, I'll catch you all in the next video.